Hello and welcome back to another episode of Slice and Dice Ecom. I'm Josh, as you probably already know from previous episodes, the founder of ClickSlice, and once again we are joined by
Mara, social media executive at ClickSlice.
which I think is your sixth time on now.
I think is it might be fifth, yeah.
Wow, time flies, right?
Yeah.
Having fun.
Of course.
Hello, good. Also, so in this one, we want to take a little different approach than we normally do in our other previous podcast format. So instead of going for our main topic, what we want to discuss in this one is kind of some tips and tricks that ecom brand owners can use to increase engagement and the watch time on the content that they're producing. I think that's really, really important because, again, too many brands out there are just producing content for the sake of it, treating it as a tick box exercise, and they're not getting the results, and they're frustrated, and they're just turning around and saying, social media doesn't work, when it actually does. They just have the wrong strategy. So can you share some effective ways that brands can use and leverage to capture users' attention in the first 2 to 3 seconds of producing that content?
Well, of course. First of all, use very strong hooks. You know, people tend to stay and watch your video just because you started that video with a very catchy line and they're interested in what you have to say. Other than that, you can tease the value of that video by showing a little snippet of what the end might be like, and they get to be very interested and want to stay and see how the video is going to go. Play around with it, honestly. Test as much as possible, see what works. Use captions, make sure people know what your video is about when they stumble upon it. If I'm scrolling through TikTok, if I see a caption that clearly describes what the video is about and I'm interested in that topic, I'm tempted to stay and watch the whole thing. So yes, these are like a few tips that and tricks that you can use in order to grab people's attention from the first few seconds of the video.
Awesome. So that's obviously all feedback and advice based on video content, right? Which is great, which we know is probably the best format of content these days.
Nowadays,
anyway. Everyone using AI content and not really having much value or nothing personal, right? So what about interaction, comments, likes, and shares, right? How can brands treat their content or make some tweaks to it to improve that? Because comments, likes, and shares is really, really important, and it also adds another layer of social proof.
First of all, don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to your audience, see what they have to say. Don't be afraid to engage with your audience. You have different tools on different platforms. On Instagram, for example, you can create polls and quizzes. On TikTok, you can respond to people's comments with a video, which leads to more user-generated content as well. So take advantage of that. In terms of, a little trick that I like doing. I do have a trick. When it comes to getting people to engage more with your comment, it's counterintuitive, but don't be afraid to leave a little mistake in your video. For instance, people tend to leave comments and engage with the content that seems natural. And if you do something like that, you're basically baiting the audience into responding and noticing and be like, hey, you forgot that over there, where they don't know that I did it on purpose. So for instance, I can give an example of this client selling luggage, right? We were creating content showing how to pack and effective ways to pack. And we intentionally left a toothbrush next to a shoe. So they were touching, and that led to lots of people commenting on it. Like, why is that toothbrush touching the shoe?
I remember.
Yeah. So that, again, it's counterintuitive. You wouldn't normally do that, but that really starts a conversation and gets people talking, and that's what you want. You want more engagement, and that leads to more and more people responding. So yeah, it's a little trick I like to use.
I'm a big fan of it. A lot of people are against it, like, oh, that's so bad, don't do that. But like, if you get that engagement, what people don't realize is, guess what? These social platforms look at that and they see you're getting lots of engagement, and then your future videos that maybe not as controversial will also benefit from that increased exposure and visibility.
But again, you're also shokicing your product. It's not like it's 100%. Irrelevant content. You just leave a little, something in there for them to comment on. So yeah, that's fun.
Right, agreed. Okay, cool. So we spoke a lot about video, right? How important video content is on previous episodes as well. So what role does video length play in boosting watch rate, and how can brands optimize for it? Because you can get videos an hour long that people make, like long form content, short form content. What is your advice in terms of that?
So again, it depends on the platform we're talking about. Instagram and TikTok prioritize short form content. So basically, you need to get to the point. You need to let people know what your video is about, and you need to be quick with the value and the information you want to deliver. When it comes to YouTube, on the other hand, you have freedom to create long-form content and talk for as much as you want. But I would say test and adapt and see what works best for you. If you have, like, the information is long, if the information that you want to present is long, I would say break it up into chapters. You have the freedom of creating playlists on TikTok as well. So users will find your content and will engage with some more videos if they're interested enough to do so. But again, it's very important to test and see what works best for your brand. But I would say keep it short. Attention span is low these days. You have to get to the point, and
I agree. I think that's why we also keep our podcast episodes quite short and concise.
Yeah.
No fluff. We could drag this out for hours, but it's not going to add any value. People won't watch. So it's also kind of the future aspect to it as well. Like if people watch an episode or produce some content, whatever it is, and they're engaged, they find it valuable, they'll just come back and get it in the future. So they'll know exactly what they're getting. They won't waste time. And again, it's more sustainable and it's taking more of that long-term approach to building the brand. So I guess the other part of that is like you can have your content, you can get it written perfectly, you have to create the best hook, and it could be crazy, right? And do really, really well. But what about the frequency of how often you post, the timings of the post, the days? What's your recommendations about that? Because I know a lot of people will just go onto Google and say, hey, 2 p.m. Tuesday morning. That's what Google said. Like, what's your advice?
I would say be consistent with it. That's the most important thing. I've said that like 10 times already, but you have to be consistent with your posting. Platforms actually prioritize accounts who post regularly, maybe not every day, but if you have a schedule, stick to that schedule is very, very important. Use analytics to identify what works for your audience. So you have no idea what's the best time to post on TikTok, for instance. But if you use analytics and you look at when people are engaging the most, you'd get insights that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get, and you can tailor your content strategy based on that. Another very important thing, avoid spamming. I know you want to get your product seen, but people can get, fed up with seeing the same thing over and over again. Experiment new things and don't spam people with content more than you should. And it's already my catchphrase. Test as much as possible.
We might have to call you Mara the Tester.
Yes.
I have to rename you. Social media executive or social media tester.
Yeah.
Which is probably a more accurate description because a lot of social media and all forms of marketing is all about testing.
Yeah.
As painful as that sounds for brands, because test takes time to get results. You need to be reliable. You've got to rerun them again. You can't test against multiple variables. So yeah, it's a whole fun world, right? But talking of that and testing, right? Like how can brands measure engagement effectively? So say they're setting up 2 different tests, they want to see what produces better results, whether it's written content, an image, or a video, right? Like what key metrics should they be looking at?
The main 3 ones are engagement rate, watch time, and conversion tracking. Engagement rate, what I mean by that is track how many people are liking your content, commenting on it, sharing on it. You have access to all of this information. And this is how you can identify quality content from poor content and get insights from that. Watch time. It's very important on TikTok, for instance. When did the user stop watching my video? What can I understand from that? Where did I lost a potential customer? Was I talking too much? Maybe I wasn't getting to the point fast enough. So you need to pay attention to watch rate and see how people are responding to your content. And conversion tracking is also very important to measure how many interactions actually result in people purchasing your product or visiting your website and
click-through rates and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's very important to look at all of these metrics when it comes to social media in order to know what to do next.
No, awesome. That makes sense. So taking it from a different angle, a different approach now, what about platform-specific features that maybe TikTok has or Instagram has that you can use and leverage to increase the engagement and performance of any content you publish? Because I guess it's different, right? Like you can't just do the same thing across all platforms.
Yes, they are different. Platforms nowadays all focus on tend to focus on short form videos, but they are of course different. When it comes to Instagram, you can create quizzes, questions, and you can interact with your audience this way. When it comes to TikTok, use specific sounds that are trending. Don't be afraid to jump on a challenge. If you see something performs well on TikTok, maybe you can relate it to your product somehow and get content out there this way. When it comes to Facebook, for instance, don't forget that there's groups of people that talk about their interests and create communities around these products.
A question more from me actually.
Right.
So short form content is doing really, really well. We all know that. It's been like that for a couple of years now, and I can only see it growing in popularity. But do you ever think long form content will come back?
Well, I think it's still very, very relevant. Like for instance, I know myself, and I've always been interested in hearing the longer version of a story. So maybe I go on YouTube and still watch those probably outdated, let's say nowadays, videos that are like 50-minute long. But yes, I do think long form content is still a way of getting your product seen and of reaching an audience that wants to hear more about you, more about the story behind the certain product. So actually, yeah, I do think we still have to use that. But, well, it's hard nowadays because most platforms
They're not set up for long form content, are they?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like when you're on Instagram looking at your friend's picture and you scroll down and you're seeing.
So when it comes to long form content, we're mainly talking about YouTube. I don't know what will happen next. Maybe there's going to be another platform that
Who
goes
knows?
viral next week.
I mean, TikTok wasn't here like back in the day, right? And now it's like massive. It's like a search engine in its own right. But I'm a big believer of long form content on YouTube, of course, the right platform.
Same.
And I just feel like if you have people that are like sticky users that are stuck to your content for long duration, even if you get 10 views on your video that's 10 hours long, right?
Right.
To me, that is worth more than having 1 million views. That's 5 seconds of content, right?
Well, it depends. But
again, this is my assumption, but we don't assume, we let the data dictate. That's probably quite a drastic example, but yeah, I think there's probably a lot of value in the long form content if people are engaged, because they're more likely to
and
buy
it creates
products.
more of a connection with the audience as well, because people get to know you more and get to know your story.
True,
and they tend to come back and remember you if they heard the long story.
Yeah, and they also feel part of the journey, especially with a smaller brand.
Yeah.
Selling, I don't know, necklaces, jewelry, rings, and you've gone from maybe being broke, having no money in your bank account, to growing this brand and now doing very well, and you paid off your mum's mortgage. Like, oh wow! So when you buy the ring or necklace that brand sells, you feel like you're part of that journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely feel more incorporated. Is that the right word? That's more like a formal corporate word now.
We need to feel like we're part of something.
Yeah. No, great. No, good. I like that one.
Yeah.
Hope you like that as well. Watching at home or wherever you are, on your mobile, tablet, or I don't know, whatever device people use these days. Hope you enjoyed that one. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions you have, put them down in the comments, and we'll discuss that in a future episode.
Yep.
Thank you for watching.
See ya.